Can I, Brinda Adike, the Kolkata case probably struck a chord because it was in the heart of a big city of this country, in a government hospital, the manner in which it happened, the reactions to it subsequently. But as we've seen, there have been terrific, horrific rapes that have taken place in rural India, which perhaps do not get the same attention. Is there a sense that the middle class has to lead the charge in a way? That unless you go out on the street and protest, public, there isn't that the outrage is necessary in a way, not just when it happens in Kolkata, but when it happens in an Akola tomorrow as well.
Yes, you are right in a way, Rajdeep. But I want to come back to your first question to the first panelist. Where does the buck stop? Now, in mother of democracies, if you want the paymaster citizen voter to come to the streets every time after we have elected our representatives and pay our taxes for them to do their job, why are they there? The buck stops with the state, the elected representatives, and the duty bearers. And like you mentioned, we are looking at a patriarchal society and an even patriarchal system. All the departments, whether you take the police or you take the Department of Women and Child or the courts, all of them are patriarchal. And it is not just the magistrates in the lower courts, but we are looking at magistrates also in the high court. And these cases are not looked at seriously. A case of rape, sexual assault, abuse is not taken seriously by any police station across India. Show me one case where a woman has gone or a child has been taken and the case has been registered at the first instance. Never. Somebody has to protest, some calls have to be made, and only then the police moves. By then, by law, forensic evidence is lost. By the time the case comes to court, we have victims and survivors turning hostile. So the system has to buck up. The buck stops there. Now look at our parliament, 151 self-declared cases are there, all cases related to some form of sexual assault on women. So we have no qualms of electing representatives with these kind of cases. So impunity increases. What is the fear of law that we are talking about?
You're saying there are MPs and MLAs. In fact, the latest ADR report, Association of Democratic Reforms, has at least 151 of our MPs and MLAs who have sexual assault cases against them. I'll come to you, Aparna Sen, in a moment, but Lalita Kumaramangala, we want to respond to that because the impunity comes from the fact that you actually have in this country people charged with sexual assault and rape who are our elected representatives. West Bengal, in fact, is leading in terms of the number who have been charged under crimes against women, lawmakers. But all our major political parties have actual members with serious cases who are in parliaments and legislatures. How can we expect them to really defend our women then?
Rajdeep, I agree with what Brinda says. That the buck stops really with the people who rule and run this country, which is the bureaucracy, the judiciary, and the politicians. And of course, the police. But the point is that it's not just men who vote for other men who have all these cases against them, women too. The value of a woman in this country is too little, of a woman or a child. And you know, rape that is happening in India is not only against women. There are hundreds and hundreds of children who keep their mouths shut because the social stigma is also so much. Why do we name rape survivors? And why do we do not want to name them? Both are equally important questions. We don't want to name them because constantly they are said, "Ayyo Pava," as we say in Tamil, that is, "Are Bichara," you know, the victim. Why call them a victim? Call them a survivor. That would be a better term. The terminology we use itself sometimes, I think, is at fault. There are too many things here that we can find fault with.
Right.
But the long and the short of the story is that it's true that rape is not even considered today amongst the biggest of crimes. We are far more bothered about corruption, which is also a horrible thing, I agree. But rape is somewhere, you know, down in the middle of any list of really important crimes. Look at what money can do. It's not just rape. People's lives are so cheap. You know, and when you rape a woman, you really ruin her whole life in this country, and I think in a lot of other places in the world also. Today we are talking about our country.
You're saying that the system doesn't take it seriously. Brinda Adike, you want to respond to that? You put your hand up.
Yes, I still want to ask the same question. Why would political parties allow for these kind of people to be representing the citizens? Why is it that there is no moral compass or a responsibility? Because there is no right to recall and the power is with those people. And how are we going to tell the others? Where is that fear of law? It is not there.
Okay.
Caste-based rape and murder is rarely taken up even at the panchayat, from the panchayat till the police stations. So we need to address these issues. We need to ask ourselves, there are vacancies. Why is there no budgetary allocation made for more judges, more magistrates, more prosecutors and police? Why is it not possible that these budgetary allocations and systemic gaps and lacunae not fulfilled? We are looking at cases that are coming up today, which is just the tip of the iceberg, like Mrs. Lalita said. We know that there are hundreds of cases that are not reported. 85 to 88% of rapes are committed by people known to the victim survivor. We will use the word victim because they need to get all the support. Let us not tell them now you go and fight because you got raped. No,
Okay.
no. Victim survivors. The other part that I want to share is what is the problem in us today addressing it on a mission mode? Have a separate commissioner for addressing, like you have a crime branch, separate commissioner, trained, professionally trained, having access and all the facilities for forensic evidence. Fast track it, not simply as lip service.
You're saying creates a complete setup in a way that would essentially focus on crimes against women. But Aparna Sen, the outrage that we've seen in the last week, 10 days, there's a fear that the middle class will outrage on the street, but will equally quickly forget about it and move on to their, to their routine of their lives, the normalcy of their lives. Is that a fear that the middle class, which today in Kolkata is outraging, will perhaps come tomorrow, move on to other stories, that this outrage also has a certain emptiness unless it is followed by action?
Of course, absolutely. It has to be followed by action. But Rajdeep, I want to get to a deeper level. We are talking, I agree with the other panelists that whole lot of systems have to be put in place. There have to be systemic changes and course corrections within the various organizations, institutions, and so on. But how do you, for instance, you have a lot of police, more policemen, more magistrates, looking into these things. But how do you ensure how that magistrate, how that policeman has been brought up? Has that policeman seen his mother or his sister being treated equally? Has he not seen sometimes his mother beaten? These are things that we have to question because this is at the root of the problem, the very root. And we have to go there. Today, because a doctor, because a doctor was violated and killed in her own workplace that she thought safe, we have all erupted in outrage. But what happens in families? Most of the rape takes place in families. Cousins, uncles, brothers-in-law, even fathers-in-law. Women cannot say a word. What happens to those cases? What happens to the Adivasis? I mean, look, if a child is not safe in school, what do you say? The janitor, for instance, in the Badlapur case, that janitor was there. Janitor had no business to be there. Okay, what were the school authorities doing? And why is, look, how is the janitor brought up? Just look, go deep into the root of the problem.
No, but for example, the prime accused in the Kolkata case is a civic volunteer. He's someone who's been working with the hospital. What does it say about the hospital authorities? What does it say about our systems of fact-checking? Perhaps what does it say about the background of this man who reportedly, according to his wife, had actually abused her and she had filed complaints? So here is someone who apparently is a sexual predator with an animal instinct. These are words that have been used in a psychoanalysis of the man, who was a civic volunteer and thereby had full access to the hospital. So there are people around us who have this dark side to them that perhaps reflects, as you said, in the way they are conditioned at home as well.
They do. Indeed they do. But look, about this case, so many facts, so many new facts keep coming out. We've had a lot of information overload, forwards, messages, videos, what have you, coming from, sometimes they say the doctor, sometimes the nurses, sometimes the medical staff, sometimes the people around. But nothing is verified and the case is sub judice. So we can't really say who the culprit is. We don't yet know.
No, but sure, that's part. Isn't that part?
Absolutely, the systems have to be in place.
Isn't that part of the problem that we live in this age of misinformation, disinformation, fake news, post-truth society that perhaps makes it even more difficult?
It does. Social media and all of that. But the thing is that people are so upset that they really want information. So they will snatch at whatever information they can get, and they want to keep up with what's happening.
No, but is their anger a sign of their powerlessness? Is their anger a sign of their powerlessness? They know that they can't change the system. The system has political leaders
I think so.
So it's a symbol of powerlessness in a way.
Yeah. In a way, but there is this sense here in Kolkata that we feel that people are going to go on protesting. They're not going to stop. They're going to go on protesting until this crime is solved and until the doctor who died gets justice. This is the attitude of the people in Kolkata now. How long this can go on, I don't know, because they're daily wage workers. The streets are completely blocked. The traffic is it's terrible. You can't go anywhere. At the same time, the protests actually need to be there. So it's a very, very difficult situation here.
Sure. D. Rupa, I come back to the police officers, because the police officer on the ground is the one that I would trust to provide me security. But if that police officer himself or herself is in some way conditioned to not appreciate a woman's state of mind, her concerns, then nothing's going to change on the ground. You've spoken at the start about sensitization programs of police, but do these sensitization programs reach the last mile? The constable, the person on the beat, they are the ones who really need to be sensitized.
All ranks in the police are exposed to these programs of gender sensitization, but it has to be, as I said earlier, constant and continuous. Police have to show promptness and sincere response, which is many a time lacking. Once you get the complaint, register an FIR, because registration of FIR itself is not any hanging somebody. It's first information report. Even there, many a time police hum and haw in registering FIR.
Why? Why is there a delay? In all these cases, we are seeing a delay in registration of FIRs. Why? Why is there a delay in registering FIRs?
Because the police are not taking definitely seriously, because they do, as you said, they do not put themselves in the shoe of the victim. They think देखेंगे कुछ हुआ होगा बाद में ये शायद compromise कर लेंगे पता नहीं क्या है. These things, that is on one hand, and secondly, the political influences or any influential person ringing up and saying dekh lijiye and all that. So giving in to political interference in an unprofessional manner is also the reason.
Have you experienced that personally, political interference in cases like this?
In the response.
Have you witnessed political interference in cases like this?
Definitely. Many a time when the victim comes from a very influential background, when the perpetrator comes from an influential background, a lot of police stations get calls. Don't do the case, don't register, nobody is involved. I mean, ye ladki hi kharab thi, and all such spices they bring in.